get a new course, run to it, try it, show it to you. That's what we do. Okay. Now, I give you the link. So if you click on that link, I will see that you have joined. Okay. I see a little picture, as you can see. That's great. And we've been doing it for over 3 years every week. So now today we're going to look at this. We will warm up our brains with a little math, but it will be new math. I hope more fun. That's what we will start with, kind of morning exercise. Then we will look at what's new in AI news. Then we will look at quite a few courses, exactly how I do my coding. And then we'll look at spec-driven development. That's how other people do their own new development. All right. So that's a lot for us. So the first one is my favorite mathematician, Littlewood. Let us find that on Amazon. Littlewood is the 20th century, one of the best mathematicians of the 20th century, a British guy, Littlewood, mathematician, a mathematical miscellany, except that I really want a picture of him. And I'll tell you why I really want a picture of him. It's because, well, it's a big, big secret coming up. Wood mathematician. That's him. So how are we better than AI? That's the question. And the answer is that, hey guys, we really understand things, and the brilliant among us do understand them better. So I know I'm entering a controversial area. It's a big question. Will it be smarter than us? But I would say another controversial statement is that people who say that it will be more brilliant than us are themselves not that brilliant. Just because you can collect billions of dollars, it's still not a proof. All right, I hope you will agree with me on that. So it's very good to learn from the best. And here's one of the best guys. That's the first thing that I want to say. The next thing, well, let's show me some of his brilliance. He wrote a book called Mathematical Miscellany. Later on, it was republished as Littlewood Miscellany because he is one of the top mathematicians. And here's what he has lots of interesting facts there in his book that are just plain fun. Let's start with the first. So he says, we all know that people sometimes do better things than they have done, but this author has done a better thing that he can. Now, it's a paradox, right? How can you do better than you can? Wow. Now, Littlewood says that is an actual case. He read it. Not only the read it, he says that agrees with all the experts in that mathematical. So it's fun, okay? You can always quote at the party. But what I'm suggesting you should do is, well, tell me, how can it be? Okay. And honestly, I have not myself come up with a solution until right now. So here I am. I'm giving you the chat, and I'm asking how so. What are your ideas? In other words, how can a guy or girl? How can he or she do better than he can do? No answer, right? But I want to thank everybody for being here. That's the first thing that I want to do, because you force me to learn and discover new thing. And here's what I would say, that some people are able to improve themselves. Hey, AI improves itself all the time. So I would venture the answer is simple. People can improve themselves, and that particular guy about whom Littlewood talks, he improved himself, and so he did better than he can, meaning than he could before. Okay, I hope that was a mathematical insight strong enough. I promise you, next insights will be way more fun. For example, Littlewood in his book, he says that I wanted to put some paradoxes about infinity, but they were all too light. So that's the kind of guy he is, and that's who I want you to learn from. That is the first one. Now we're going to do a more practical AI related stuff. First of all, we'll look at the news, and these news are out of the Andrew Ng newsletter. Here you are. And well, ask questions, interrupt anytime, that's allowed, but let's look at the newsletter. The newsletter says that just recently there came a model that can hack everything. I'm sure you have heard about that. That is about mythos from Anthropic, and it was so dangerous that they decided not to release it other than to some responsible people like Microsoft. All right, I do have a funny picture about that. I'll try to find it by all means. I think I can find it here. Okay, my daughter drew it. That's why I can find it here. That's the picture. So we're lucky to see it right away. And she got it right in many senses. That mythos, look at the mythos merge. Okay, look at the panicky people and look at the people who are all excited. That's where we are right now. Okay, and going back to our webinar, that's the anthropic model. But it turns out that ChatGPT also released the very, very hacking model. They also, it's just that Anthropic stole the thunder of them. Yeah, we can do a model that's much better than what was before, and that can hack everything. So I was teaching a course on AI and security with the major point was that, yeah, good question. I will answer it in a second. But the major point is that the most danger to AI is not coming from hackers. That I get from Jeremiah Grossman, who is the biggest hacker himself. The major danger is coming from humans. It's coming from us, from developers who like to do what's called vibe coding. So we'll go back to that. That is what this is about. And one of the opinions that I saw was that all of that, all of Anthropic model and ChatGPT model, that's all one gigantic publicity stunt and nothing to it. So if you accept that, you can be happily satisfied. Now, Andy asks, hello, Mark. Good day. Could you please let me know which websites you go to know the latest news daily? That's a good question. How to know daily updates, new ones? Yeah, I did subscribe to a newsletter. You can find it. It's a newsletter about what's going on daily. I find that it is all hype. The new term slop. They just want to bombard you with questions. Okay, what newsletter? I think I have it here. I have AI news, something like that. Yeah, AI flash, like this one. Okay, let's look at that. So that's what it would be. It's called AI newsletter. Let me find what it's coming from. I don't see the address it's coming from. They don't give it to you because it's MailChimp. However, that's what you can search for. So I'm sure that if you find that, then you can find that newsletter. But I went that way. I tried it. And my personal opinion was that it's all junk and too much noise. And the one that's really good is this one, the one that I'm showing you. So let's go back here. That's the news one. It's called The Batch, and that's where I'm going. So let's do it again. I'm really honestly going there, here. Okay. And if you go there, it's called The Batch, and that's what you should listen to, read if you listen to me. The Batch by Andrew Ain. There are many reasons why it turns out this way. That's solid. He talks about really important things. He takes a week to really produce that. Unfortunately, this one is from last week because he changed his schedule and now he does that in the afternoon and we talk in the morning, kind of middle of the day. That's why. But that's what I would recommend to start with. And that's where he talks about the new courses. That's the new course, and you can enroll. You can click here and immediately enroll. And since I have the subscription, I have to admit, you do need the subscription. But that's how to do efficient inference with a library. Okay, I'm not going there because that's not the focus today. I will go through that next time, but not this time. So these are the news that are really worth it. And I'm not going too deeply into that because many of them, well, billion-dollar thing is, and legislation in California, not everything is practically interesting to us. So I'm closing that, but the major thing I told you. Okay. Now, that is the course, the pictures, and that's not interesting. I mean, not everybody wants to generate pictures, so we'll skip it for today. We will do it next time. Okay, I promise. So I'm putting it back. That's my promise, and that's where I collect the things. But what I really want to show is this. I want to show you the agentic course, agentic and spec-driven. Now, many people talk about this. I will first show you what it is. I'll show you what I think about that and what they think about that. For that, I'm doing a couple things. One thing is I go to the repo, okay? And in that repo, I open that particular course. Then I will show you the essence, okay?
Welcome to this course on Spec-Driven Development, built in partnership with JetBrains. Spec-Driven Development is currently the best type of workflow for building serious applications with agentic coding assistance. Give your coding agent a markdown file or a long prompt, explaining exactly what to build, and it implements that spec. Rather than writing code by hand, you focus on writing down the context that the agent doesn't already.
That's it. I'll tell you what it is, but you notice those glasses, that's just for fun. We're trying to be like Hollywood actors, and he will take them off after he says, why do we need that? So that's what the course is about. But really, we want to know what it is all about. So for that, I am clicking right here. And now I want not only to show you what it is about, but also explain. Okay, so what we're saying, and maybe you guys heard about that, what we're saying is that why don't you write the specification? Now that will become boring if you're just having a session with the agent. That's a lot of fun, and you understand the things that you are trying to do. I'll come to that. I'll show you exactly how I do it. But okay, let's go step by step. So you all heard vibe coding. Okay, what is vibe coding? You go into a command line. I just tried it myself, and I think I used, what did I use? It's either Claude Code or Codex or Anti-Gravity. So let's try to do Claude Code. Let's open my project. Here I am, going to my projects. Sky is my project place, and let's do the wrap. What is the wrap? The wrap is processing police records about what did the guy do in the past. That's not nice, maybe. If he is in the police records, it's called the record of arrests. That's what it is. But we're saying we want to write some code. So we're saying Claude. Okay, this is Claude, greets you, meets you, okay. And then you say, tell me about this project. So you will see that all interface is on the command line. You talk to it, and perhaps you've seen it. If you've done any kind of coding, you see that's what he says. So he reads the things, he does store some things in memory, but some of the things he prefers to, I'm using he, it's okay. I think some ladies didn't like using she, but he knows mind. Okay. So he says that's what you use as far as the platform, that's your language. But my question is this, are there any specs? Any specs? No formal specs, too bad. Bad project, bad Dobby, okay. But I want to see more. I'm used to something that's a user interface. Do I need an integrated development environment? In other words, I'm surprised that I'm all on the command line. Not everybody likes to type. I do. I once had an incident in my life when I had to type 300 pages. That's when I learned to type. So I'm okay typing, but not everybody is. Now, it says, no, Claude Code runs entirely in the terminal. Wow, you see the philosophy. You can edit, search, run tests, and manage Git without an IDE. And indeed, that will do it. Now, if you do want to see, install something like VS Code or JetBrains, and maybe that will be useful. We'll be talking about JetBrains tonight, later, but that's what it's talking about. So I can exit, and I think that was enough of a demo for a little bit of an idea. So we're back, not here, we're back here. And here we explain what is vibe coding. That's a popular term today. People like to talk about vibe coding, and that just means build something. That's polite way to say it. Or I'm so tired, cannot think, I'm asking the computer to do it for me. That is Peter. Peter, who invented OpenClaw, Steinberger. That's his idea. So if you do this, you can say create me button. It may do a button for you. But what can happen is that it will create a gigantic button, green and big. And I say, no, that's not what we want. All right. So make it not so big. It will do it. Okay. But if you keep doing this, then It's fun. So it's like a party. You had fun. Do you remember what happened? Not always. That's the problem. You don't remember how you come up with that, how you came up with that. You don't remember well the decisions that you made. Okay, you were learning. I think vibe coding is great. Here I do not agree with Peter Steinberger that he only switches to vibe coding when he already cannot think at 3 in the morning and then takes it back anyway. No, it helps you. Peter is maybe an advanced guy, but we normal people, we might be able to just learn something. Nevertheless, that's what we end up with. So today's agents, they're great. They can fix your errors. You just say, yeah, do it. So that's one way, but better way, at least they argue. That's their argument. You don't have to take it. Better way, according to this, well, write what I need to do. I'll start from scratch. I will read all the code. I will also read what you want me to do, big step away from this vibe coding, and I will write a set of instructions for you. So that course is by JetBrains, but we're saying that spec-driven development is, according to them, is taken over the world. So you can write a long spec. I think it's boring at this time, but then the argument of the developers of the Go language was that code should be boring. It should work, and that's it. No fun thing. Okay. Then you create human readable specs as to what it should do. And if you don't like it, I mean, if you don't like the result, if it doesn't work the way you want, then you change it. But it will rewrite all of the code. That's a popular thing. And in order to appreciate it, you really need to try to do it. I will show you. I will later show you exactly how I do it. Okay. So that's JetBrains just because they are using this to promote themselves. It's not that you have to use JetBrains, even though over there, this Claude suggested, hey, use JetBrains. That's already like humans. When I was using a certain agent like Codex from OpenAI, it was saying, no, don't use OpenAI. No, they're not as good. Codex is better. So you could feel the jealousy, but the end result is, yeah, JetBrains is one good tool, and some people absolutely love it, especially before the AI. People would fall in love with their tools. Okay, and that's what the advantage of that will be. If you just think, should I use TypeScript? I heard that's a good language. Or what do I want? Do I want a web application or something else? Then you're lost. But if you formulate what you want, then you are found. And that is the idea. So supposedly these are the good things. Now, at this point, I become suspicious. Not that I'm a very suspicious person at all, but they obviously try to push the advantage. It seems like not everybody agrees that specs are boring. Not everybody agrees that they're the best either. So I think what you need is to learn, learn, and learn. That's what I always say. I always say that's the best thing is to learn, and that's where, since you humans, you understand, as opposed to AI, which only imitates that. I can understand, you can argue. But if that's the truth, then you should be learning. Usually I interrupt at this point and I go to chat and I ask you, so did you here? Did you learn, cannot type, did you learn something new this week? And if you did, you can even tell us what it was the great new thing that you learned. And in my case, yeah, I learned this spec-driven development, started learning, and maybe even more than one thing. That's why I'm grateful to you, because you pushed me to do that. All right, now let's finish up. So by saying the promise of that is great, that if you take an old project with lots of stuff, or if you take a new project with little stuff, you can still formalize it, so the agents will be great for you. And I personally know one great guy who started one startup, sold it, and they're doing another one. And he says, we just recently went to all spec-driven development. That's very impressive, but that also assumes that you're not learning as you go. It's a little bit of a waterfall model. So my idea is that, yeah, keep learning and try out every approach. That is it for that part, but now I want to show how I do it. Okay, let's do that. So let's do it. I have a new project. Let's go into this project. The rep is actually what I'm working right now. So let's go projects, fire, rep. And one possible thing that I'm using is anti-gravity. And here too, I know some people do not quite like anti-gravity, but once you install it, all you have to do is to say anti-gravity and it starts. There you go. So my rep extracts a lot of smart information from the rep sheets. That's an existing product. One thing that it is missing is an API. Back 2018, no, 2018, that was the year, 2012, when the boss at Amazon boss, when he wrote an email to everybody and he said, guys, you should all open your data. You should all open your data to other team members in the world, and you should do it with the RESTful API. That's what you should do. And whoever doesn't do it will be fired. All right. And that started the whole big trend about API. So now my question is that project following what Jeff Bezos said? Is Ed doing API? And my question is, do we have the API? And you see, in this case, I'm in anti-gravity. It does have an ID. And it's reading the project. You see here, it's reading the project. It's going into init. It says what it's doing. It says I'm reading all the tools that I'm allowed to use, and I see something your way. I see endpoints. Endpoints is how you ask. It's kind of the door into the other person's data, which he gave you the key to. So it says, yes, there is something. There is a strike. What is a strike? Well, the strike in this terminology, and in particular, I'm doing a certain state. So a strike is the guy did something wrong. And some special ways of doing something wrong result in 1, 2, 3 strikes. So if he then does it the third time, I think, third or fourth, then he is put away into jail for lifetime. So it seems like, yes, you do expose some of the information that you find, and that strikes. But only strikes? I continue questions. He keeps telling me that it's thinking what it is thinking about. Looks again at strikes, tries to find something else. Very human behavior, isn't it? Okay, then I'm expecting he says many endpoints, but I think he doesn't find it. That should be in the data.python, or it should be in the main, but it hasn't found. So it seems like that's it. Question, have you found it? Have you found it? Just to make sure, is it done or is it waiting for me somewhere? Prioritizing tool users, the ones that he wants to use, honestly, tells me that it's looking at the conversations that we previously had and now the tools that he wants to do, but I think I know. That's it. Well, I want more, but I'm going higher level. I'm not just saying I need to tell you what to do. It's still thinking, but I'm saying which APIs would you advise? Okay, so which APIs would you recommend to implement? And it says, okay, it says I have another program. He did something along that way. And finally, he says the API currently does only that, but it's going to suggest something. Now, send all. Yes, I agree. And by now, it's becoming pretty boring, isn't it? But since I need the results, oh, it says probation. You can get probation. That's good. Police incident report API. Okay, include that. So, can you do that? Can you do that? I'm risking it. I'm doing it live. Can you do that? At this point, it will probably start coding. It will also ask me whether I agree with certain actions or whether I should say, no, don't do it. It will also suggest that I can click on something so that it stops asking, just goes on the head. Now it says, I'm going to implement the skeleton for probation records. Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. And charging recommendation agent. Yeah, that's great idea, but it's not here because that's a wrap. Now, charging recommendation is separate. So I'm saying this. I'm saying probation. Now, probation on another project. Probation is another project. And so is charging. All right, and on and on. Okay, we've seen it. That is how anti-gravity works, but I wanted to show you something else. Here, keep in mind, it's still working. And what I can do is go back to our webinar. I promised you Claude. I showed you Claude. Codex. Codex somehow doesn't even work. So if I go back, I just installed it, yeah. Codex looks like it's promising, but Codex would mean also on the command line. So go on the command line and it says improve documentation. Yeah, we should do it. And something else didn't work, but I complain. So yesterday you did not work. Is it better today? Yeah, it says your access token is something wrong. So that needs to be debugged. How should I do it? And on and on. That is all that I wanted to show. I wanted to show you the new style of development that would be agentic. No, spec-driven and agentic, of course. But also I showed you how you have multiple tools and some of them work better, some of them work worse. And all of that I demonstrated. Plus, we had a warm-up with Littlewood, but we found a simple answer to his paradox. So next time we'll do some more intensive math because our brain matures as we go. And we'll definitely have something else to look at. I will look at SG Lang also. At this point, I will stop talking and hide my video. I will also go silent and I will ask you questions or suggestions. Okay, and maybe that I didn't allow you to say anything. So at least you should say all good mark or +1, all good mark, or +1. In other words, that would mean that, yeah, I'm explaining everything clearly. There are no questions even. So clear it is. Okay, I got a question. Mercado says, does vibe coding work for picking the best ML or AI for optimization problems? The answer is yes. In my practice, I do it. Maybe I should have explained a little bit more. I did this on one of the projects. I took an email, kind of custom correspondence, and I loaded it into an AI. And I said, I don't even understand that. Can you do that? Can you write the specs? It wrote the specs. Can you suggest me the best approach? Yeah, with what I was using was some financial modeling. And honestly, I had no idea what financial modeling I was doing. But it said that's the best ML. What I would recommend is use this now. Anti-gravity is what I was using, so it always goes into Google models. It will not want to go to another, but it's honest enough. It will suggest another model, and I've seen it many times. Yeah, I was doing not so much portfolio optimization, but regulatory compliance thing on the foreign country exchange. I mean, it even created what I wanted to do is I said, now start. It started, but that's local. I said, can you then go and put it on the web for them to see? Yeah, it said, do that. And I think it used a certain exchange, no, way to host it that didn't even cost much. It was like $5 a month. And like show or render, something like that. So yes, the answer is definitely yes. Vibe coding works. It will pick the best ML and best AI and optimization problem also. You just need to understand and not pretend you understand. You really need to understand because in this partnership or the other way around, partnership with AI or competition with AI, I think we're working. I think partnership. The one thing is a question, and I will leave you with that question. So that assumes that everybody is like you guys. I'm not flattering, but if you're able to listen to this complexity of talk, then you are on that level. But most of humanity is not. And so, okay, we have 10 Xers. That's popular term. I'm putting X, 10, and that means a new generation, 10 Xers. It's a programmer who can do the output of 10 programmers. That's very easy with AI, right? I just showed you how you can do it. But what about the others? What jobs will the other people have? And we talk about that there will be some jobs, but even Andrew Ng doesn't know which jobs will be there. So we all go back to history and to find out that, oh, every new technology brought about a big market for new jobs. Yeah, it did, but there was nothing like that. So maybe, in any case, they all agree that before this wonderful influx of new job starts, there is a certain period when the old ones have disappeared and the new ones have not appeared. Well, that's an open question. Dooley is the one who is interested in those questions. I know. Okay. Dooley, maybe meanwhile ask a question. As far as agents, do you have any preferences? And lovable, replete to create websites, any of them will do, and I can give you an example. An example is found in our learning path. Learning path is a link with about, by now, 140 probably different courses. One of them, Learn to Program with Andrew Ng. Learn maybe Andrew. Code with Us by Andrew Ng. It's teaching you vibe coding, and Andrew Ng says it's all easy for everyone. So the answer is, Dula, go here, open that, and play with one or two courses. Just log in and try that. All right. So the answer is keep learning and things will come. Now, Al says, with agents, I just saw that Red Hat had an OpenShift AI. Yes, OpenShift AI. It's very interesting. I heard about OpenShift a lot. I even taught it. But OpenShift AI, they said the agents run with better security guardrails. What are they outside of OpenShift? Now, I don't know specifically about OpenShift, but guardrails, everybody has guardrails. And, I taught a course yesterday, 2 days ago, about open guardrails and everything else. So that's a very new thing, but it's spread like fire, and everybody should be using guardrails. But the major lesson there, I was teaching that use everything. Use simple regex to just filter the bad stuff. Even that is not perfect, but it will make the life of a hacker easier. And maybe finish up with the same repeat of a Jeremiah Grossman. Jeremiah Grossman is a great guy, and in case you have not seen him recently, Jeremiah Grossman, he is something like that. And he is a professional hacker, and he likes to present himself as a fighter, which he is. He is a martial artist, you see there. Yeah, that's them. All right. So the advice is programmers do more damage than the hackers. So keep them under control as much as you can. That's it. Thank you very, very much. Let's see. Do we have any more questions? No. All right. But that was a great exchange. So thank you, everybody. Be well. Have a great weekend and have a great upcoming year. Thank you for your thank you. Many thanks to you in turn.